All right, perfect. So again, want to say welcome to everyone. So happy you all are here and really excited for everything we've got planned for you. We're so sorry and so sad that we can't see everyone in person like we wish we could, but we know that we're hopefully turning a corner now, and hopefully next year we'll all be able to get together and see everyone again in person soon. There's so many of you that we haven't seen in about 2 years, and that's just so sad, and we really miss you. But it's so good to see so many people and so many faces here right now. We're really excited for that. And so want to say welcome and so happy that you all are here. So like I said previously, today we're going to start with Randy's first session. Following Randy's session, we're going to have Jad, our master licensee of Lebanon and Cyprus, give a session as well. And we also want to say welcome to so many new faces in the business. You may have seen on social media that we welcomed a bunch of new master licensees to the business. So want to say welcome to them. There's a good amount of them. There's also a bunch of new franchisees in the US that we want to say welcome to as well. So lots of new faces, new licensees, new associates. It's great to see the LMI family growing so rapidly in so many new places and seeing more coverage all over the world. That's fantastic. We're really excited for that. And so just a couple housekeeping things for the entire convention. We ask that everyone would please keep their microphones muted the entire time. We'll have time for questions at the end. And if you have a question, please use the raise hand function that's on the side of your screen on Zoom. You can do that, or you can put your question in the chat or raise your hand in the chat. Either way, we're going to go by order there. And that's going to be the best way to go about this. There's just going to be so many people on these sessions. We've got to make sure we all do our part and stay muted until we've been called on for the sake of the recording and so we can hear everyone and there's no feedback or anything like that. So we do ask that you all stay muted. Like I said, Randy's going to be starting here in just a second. Welcome to everyone here. And also just want to offer a word of encouragement to everyone as well. We know it's been a really hard year in so many different places for so many different reasons. But we have heard so many great stories recently and just over the last year of lives that have been changed through the LMI process, organizations that have been changed, cities that have been changed. I mean, it's been a beautiful thing to see what LMI and SMI and FMI have been able to do around the world during this pandemic. There was never really a better time for productivity, working from home, a lot of people working home for the first time ever, for goal setting, learning how to set goals and internally motivate yourself when you're no longer around your boss or your leaders anymore, using the Attitude is Everything program, people working on their attitudes that are so important right now, just so many things like that we're so encouraged and so happy to see so many lives being changed around the world. So I want to say thank you to all of you for what you did during the year to make that possible. And so with that, I want to introduce Randy. We're going to go ahead and get started. And Randy is our CEO. He's been our CEO for a good while. He's been our president for longer, and he's been with the organization even longer than that. So I want to say welcome to him. And again, I want to say thank you to all of you for being here. And if you have any questions throughout this entire virtual convention, know that just like a regular convention where we all get together and you can meet with people in between sessions and things like that, we're here for you. And so we know there's a lot of other things going on. You have sales appointments, you have facilitations you've got to do. All of the sessions will be recorded. They'll be uploaded to YouTube. At the end of each day, you'll receive an email from me. And please send that out to your teams. It'll have links to all the recordings and all those things. So we'll have all those uploaded every single day. So you and your team, if you can't make any of them, can go back and watch those. So again, thank you all so much for being here and really excited for this. And yeah, it's all yours, Randy. I'll make you a co-host so you can go ahead and share your screen as well.
Welcome to everybody. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, wherever you may be. We are so excited that you can be here with us virtually. We're very sad we can't be together. I guess that's the bad news. We can't be together physically. We can enjoy each other's company and enjoy the celebration of the past year. But the good news is none of us have jet lag. So we all have a lot of energy and alertness, hopefully, to learn from these sessions and to take ideas from these sessions and to really improve ourselves and improve our business. Before we get started, I want to really thank Jonah for all the work that he's done in preparing our World Convention. He's done a lot of work behind the scenes in terms of setting things up and preparing the agenda and the workbook and the sessions. So I want to give a special thanks to him, and of course, thanks to my entire staff for all the work that they have done as well in preparing this. We have a great week planned for you with some incredible sessions. We have just some awesome speakers that have done really unbelievable things over the past year and a half in terms of all the challenges that they faced and still achieved growth in their business, still achieved incredible results during this difficult time. In fact, many of these are top award winners. And I know we can't be together to present the awards in person, but we're actually putting together a video announcing all of the top awards, and we'll be releasing that later this week. So you can actually watch the video and see who won all the top awards from 2020. So that's going to be very exciting. I know this past year has been very challenging for everyone. There's no way to sugarcoat it. I mean, it's been a very difficult year with the pandemic and the lockdowns and the various issues that we've had to face. Personally, we've had a interesting, if not challenging year. Back in July, we went to Colorado for a short family vacation. And the first day hiking in the mountains, Jana, my wife, fell and broke her leg. And so we had a great experience of getting her down the mountain and getting her to the ER. And a week later, she had to have surgery and had plate and screws put in her leg and had to go through 2 months of rehab and putting no weight on it. So that was a enjoyable experience, obviously. And myself, this past year, I had 3 separate, I was experiencing heartburn and acute esophagitis. So I had 3 endoscopies to go down my throat and scope my throat. And they finally determined I had a hiatal hernia where part of my stomach was coming up into my esophagus. So I had surgery just a month ago to repair that. And so the good news is I don't have any more heartburn or esophagitis. The bad news is I couldn't eat solid foods for a week and can't eat bread for another couple of weeks. Now the good news is from that I've lost about 10 pounds, so that's exciting. But so obviously we've all had different experiences and different challenges that we faced, and of course business-wise we've had many challenges. I'm going to speak about the pandemic and its effect on the business world and its effect on our business much more next Tuesday when I do the question and answer session. But today I really want to talk about you, and I want to talk about how you can realize your full potential. So let me start by sharing my screen here. There we go. So what we want to talk about is how you can realize your full potential in the business and personally. There's a story about a man who was enjoying his weekend in his backyard, just kind of hanging out in his backyard, enjoying the nice weather and enjoying nature. And on a nearby bush, he saw a cocoon where a butterfly was just starting to break through the cocoon and emerge. And he thought this was very fascinating to watch this. So he spent over 2 hours watching this butterfly emerge from this cocoon. But after a couple hours, it seemed nothing was happening. The butterfly was still in the cocoon, was just starting to break through, but no progress was being made. And so the man thought, well, I'll help the butterfly out. And so he got a scissors and he kind of snipped the cocoon open to allow the butterfly to emerge. And sure enough, the butterfly came out of its cocoon. And so the man was excited that he'd helped the butterfly out and was waiting for the butterfly to fly off and admire his beauty. But unfortunately, the butterfly never flew. He just sat there. And as the man looked closer, he could see that the butterfly had a very bloated body, but very undeveloped wings. What the man didn't realize was it's the process of emerging from that cocoon that pushes the fluid out of the butterfly's body and into its wings to develop its wings to enable it to fly and realize its full potential. And so by helping the butterfly, it actually hurt the butterfly. Well, this past year, I don't know about you, but I felt like I've been in a cocoon. We've been locked down. We've been kept in our homes. We've been kept away from friends, from family. And now we're all at different stages of emerging from our cocoon. And the real issue is, how do we emerge? And how do we come out of this cocoon? And how do we come out of it better? And so the question we have to ask ourselves is, how do we use this experience, use what's happened to our advantage to grow and develop? Carl Jung said, our most important problems cannot be solved. They must be outgrown. And that's really what we're looking at here. And in terms of the butterfly, his problem had to be outgrown. He had to outgrow the cocoon. It could not be solved for him. You couldn't just open up the cocoon and let him fly, because the process of outgrowing the cocoon is what enabled him to develop and to grow and to fly. And it's the same with us. I know many of us have come to this convention looking for good ideas, looking for new ideas, looking for that secret idea, looking for new techniques, looking for new skills that'll help us in our business. And that's great. We need to look for those things. But we must remember that our most important problems cannot be solved. They must be outgrown. In other words, just finding a new idea, just finding a new skill will not solve our problems. To solve our problems, we must grow. We must develop our wings to the next level. Now, how do we do that? Well, when we try to change the system, when we run smack into ourselves, we are the primary obstacle to the very future we are committed to creating. When we just sponsor change or merely redesign systems and processes, we must redesign ourselves. And that's the real key to our growth. And that's the real point I want to talk about today. In terms of really realizing our potential, it's our internal growth that we must focus on. And so the question then becomes, how do we redesign ourselves? How do we remake ourselves? How do we transform ourselves to that next level? Well, in many ways, we're all like a volcano. We all have an external part of us and an internal part of us. And at the top of the volcano, what they call the crater or the crust, is our knowledge. It's what we know. And that's very important. We want to have as much knowledge as possible. And the vent in the volcano, the channel, is our skills. That vent, that channel enables us to use our skills to get a result. Now, the problem with a volcano is what's called the Earth's crust or its mantle. And that's where our attitudes and beliefs are. For a volcano to erupt, to explode, to realize its potential, it has to break through that crust, that mantle in the earth. And that's what we have to do. For us to explode, we have to break through those old attitudes, those old beliefs. And the problem is, in the earth, the crust and the mantle are many, many, many miles deep. There's lots and lots of old attitudes and old beliefs that we have to break through if we ever hope to grow and develop to the next level. In fact, behavior that is incongruent with the self will not last. It's hard to change your habits if you don't change the underlying beliefs. You may have a new goal and a new plan, but you haven't changed who you are. True behavior change is identity change. In other words, we have to change our identities if we ever hope to change our behavior. Paul said, your effectiveness is in direct proportion to the estimate you hold of yourself. You act like the kind of person you are. You cannot act any other way, no matter how much willpower you exercise. An external facade of positive thinking is not enough. You may say to yourself, and many of us will say this to ourselves this week, today I will work more effectively. But your statement will produce no change in behavior until you deal with the reasons for your past level of performance. In other words, just having a new goal, just having a new plan, just having a new idea, just having a new technique, just having a new skill, just having a new strategy, all of those things are great, but they're not enough. They will not change you. They will not change your behavior because you haven't changed yourself. You haven't changed your identity. So if we go back to that volcano, what we have to ask is, what makes a volcano erupt? Well, what happens is the magma down in the magma chamber, which is our identity, it's our self-image, the magma builds up. And as it melts the rock into magma, it keeps increasing the pressure. And as the pressure keeps increasing, it finally increases to a point where it breaks through those old attitudes and beliefs. And it's only when we break through those old attitudes and beliefs that we're able to explode with results. But it's the enhancing and the growing and the developing of the identity and of the self-image that really creates the pressure, really creates the ability to grow to the next level. And that's the only thing that'll break through all of that past conditioning, all of those old attitudes, all of those old beliefs. And so that's what we must focus on as we go through this convention. In terms of learning new ideas and learning new skills, we want to do that. But we also need to ask ourselves in every session, what is the new attitude that I must develop? What is the new belief that I must have to succeed in this business? In what way must I grow my identity and grow my self-image and enhance who I am as a person and become my future self to build up that pressure in the magma chamber, to build up that ability to explode through all that old conditioning and all those old attitudes and beliefs? Because this is the only thing that will enable us to use those new skills, to use that new knowledge, to break through that crust, to break through the cap of the volcano, and to explode with new results. And this is why so many people come to our conventions and they get excited and they get inspired and they learn all this new knowledge and this new information, these new ideas and these new skills, and they go home and nothing happens. When you listen to the top performers over this coming week, you'll see they have a lot of knowledge. You'll see they have a lot of skills. They have a lot of techniques. It's what you don't see. It's the attitude that they have. It's the identity that they have. It's the incredible self-image that they have is what enables them to produce at such a high level. They have the identity of selling 500 programs a year. They have the self-image of building a multi-million-dollar business. That's what they expect. And so when they have that identity, when they have that self-image, when they have those attitudes and beliefs that support that self-image, they're able to use their skills and knowledge to produce the results that they want. Everything that happens to us is a reflection of what we believe about ourselves. We cannot outperform our level of self-esteem. Understand that. We cannot outperform our level of self-esteem. Whatever our attitude is about ourselves, whatever our belief is about ourselves, we cannot outperform that level. So it doesn't matter how much knowledge you have or how many skills that you have if your self-esteem doesn't support it, because you'll never outperform your self-esteem. You can be the most skilled person in the world at asking questions and doing a sales interview and finding a prime buying motive and facilitating people. But if you don't have the self-esteem and the belief to do those things, you still won't perform. So we spend all of this time learning, and we spend all of this time in training. But we want to ask ourselves, how much time do we spend in development of ourselves? You know, we have a saying, GIGO, garbage in, garbage out. You see, our subconscious is an incredible computer. It has incredible computing power and operating system, but it's only as powerful as what we put into it, how we program it. And if we program it with garbage, we're going to get garbage results. So we have to program our computer, our subconscious, our identity, our self-esteem, if we ever hope to produce at a higher level. You know, one question we need to ask yourself is, what are we programming ourselves with? Ask yourself, how much time do you spend watching television or looking at social media, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter? Is that really effective programming for our subconscious, for our self-esteem, for our identity? Or are we just feeding ourselves more and more garbage? It's harder today than ever to develop ourselves because there's so many distractions. There's so many other forms of input into our minds and into our subconscious. And unfortunately, most of these forms of input are destructive. They're not developing us, they're minimizing us. They're reducing us. They're chipping away at our identity. They're chipping away at our self-esteem. I mean, the amount of studies they've done on young people who spend all their time on social media and the effect it has on their self-esteem is absolutely unbelievably destructive. Well, the same thing is happening to us no matter our age. When we spend all our time on the social media channels or watching television or other kinds of entertainment, we're actually hurting our own development. We're hurting our own self-esteem. We're hurting our own identities. And so we've got to look at what can we do to spend more time in development. Paul said the self-image acts as an invisible ceiling above which people never rise. The self-image defines the limits of what one can realistically expect to achieve. A positive self-image comes before you achieve your goals. Read that again. A positive self-image will come before you achieve your goals. Now, it doesn't come before you do anything, but it will come before you achieve your goals. So if you're doing a lot but not achieving your goals, it's because your self-image is holding you back. It's self-sabotaging you. You're hurting yourself because you haven't developed the self-image to grow into. Your self-image creates the opportunity and the potential that you have. So to grow your potential, to grow your business, to grow yourself, you have to grow your self-image. Now, how do we do that? How do we grow our self-image? Well, our self-image is made up of our attitudes and beliefs about ourselves, what we think of ourselves, what we believe about ourselves. And a lot of these beliefs and attitudes were formed over many, many years of conditioning. The only way to change that, the only way to grow our self-image, the only way to enhance our identity is by changing those attitudes. And the only way you can change an attitude is by replacing it with a new attitude. It's called the law of displacement. You can't just stop an old attitude. You have to displace it or replace it with a new attitude. And the only way to do that is the same way all attitudes were developed, through repetition and reinforcement. So ask yourself, how much time are you spending in repetition of the new attitudes that you want? Have you identified the new attitudes and beliefs you want to have to make up your identity and your self-image? Have you identified the person you want to become in the future and what attitudes and beliefs that person would have? And then have you developed specific affirmations on those attitudes, on those beliefs that you repeat to yourself on a consistent, repetitive basis? I mean, imagine if we took all the time that we were spending in television and social media, and what if we converted all that time to repeating our affirmations? Imagine the growth we would have. Imagine the potential that we would have. Imagine the power that we would have from the development of those positive, enhancing, empowering attitudes and beliefs, instead of filling ourselves with junk and garbage through social media. Now, I'm not saying social media is always bad, but we have to control it. We can't let it control us. And so we've got to make a plan for not only what we want to achieve and not only how we want to achieve it, but who we need to become to achieve those things. That's the whole key to our success, is we need to become the person that we want to be. We need to develop the attitudes, develop the beliefs, develop the identity, develop the self-image of the person we want to become. And when we do that, the attitudes and the actions and the skills and the knowledge will just come to fruition. They'll happen because we created this self-image. We created this space for it to happen. We created this pressure in the magma chamber, and it's going to explode through those old attitudes, through those old beliefs, and explode like a huge volcano. You know, one of my favorite movies is called The Shawshank Redemption. It's a great movie about a banker who was falsely accused and framed for killing his wife and the person she was having an affair with. And he was sentenced to life in prison, Shawshank prison. And while in Shawshank prison, he developed a very close friendship with another prisoner. His name was Red. And this banker named Andy Dufresne and Red, one day they were in the prison yard and they were just talking. And Andy asked Red, said, Red, have you ever thought about what you'll do when you get out of here? And Andy said, you know, I've thought about it a lot. And you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go down to Mexico. I'm going to go down to the Pacific coast of Mexico. And I'm going to get me a boat. And I'm going to build me a little bed and breakfast hotel down there. And I'm just going to live this incredible life on the Pacific Ocean on the west coast of Mexico. And Red looked at him and he said, you know, Andy, I don't think you should be doing this to yourself. I don't think you should be torturing yourself like this, thinking about those things. You have life in prison. You're in here and Mexico is way the hell down there. I don't think you should be torturing yourself with false hopes. And Andy said to Red, said, you know, Red, hope is a great thing, maybe the best thing. And he said, I guess it comes down to a simple decision. Get busy living or get busy dying. And that's really what development is all about. You know, Paul said we're either going up or we're going down. We're either growing or we're decaying. We're either on the up escalator or the down escalator. We're either green and growing or we're ripe and rotting. So we have a decision to make. We can either submit to all the social media and all the junk and all the garbage and become a rotting, ripe piece of fruit on the down escalator. Or we can decide, no, I'm going to take control of the input going into my mind. I'm going to take control of the attitudes and beliefs that form my identity, that form my self-image. I'm going to take control of all those aspects of my life. I'm going to be the one in the driver's seat. I'm going to define who I want to be, what do I want to achieve, what my self-image is, what my identity is. And then I'm going to make that happen through a planned process of growth, of affirmation, of development. You know, it's amazing what we can achieve if we do that. You know, the sad thing is we have all the tools in our business to do that. We help our clients do that. And yet, unfortunately, we're like the doctor who's out of shape, who never exercises. We're like the dentist who has rotten teeth. We're like the barber who has bad hair, bad haircut. We tend not to use our own tools on ourselves. How many of you really have affirmations that you use every day, that you repeat yourself every day on the person you want to become? That is the most important tool we have in our entire business. The ability on how we talk to ourselves, on how we control the flow of thoughts in our mind, and how we build our attitudes and beliefs and self-image. That part of our process is more powerful than anything else we do. It's more powerful than goal setting. It's more powerful than planning out our goals. It is where the rubber meets the road. It is where the change happens. It is where the growth happens. It is where the development happens, is in those thoughts, that self-talk, that self-affirmation. And yet many of us don't use that tool. Many of us don't even have written affirmations on what we want to become, on who we want to be, on the attitudes and beliefs that we want to have that can lead to incredible, incredible, incredible success. You know, we've always focused on this more maybe in the past than we do today. We've gotten caught up in business strategy and management and supervision and all the technical aspects of a business. And we forgot that what really drives business is people. And what really drives people is their self-talk, their self-affirmation, their self-thinking, their attitudes, their beliefs. And until we impact that, until we impact what it is that they're talking to themselves about and believing about themselves, we really don't impact anything. We deal with all these structures and all these systems and all their time management and all their productivity and all their goals. But unless we change them internally, unless we change their thinking, we really haven't changed that much. One person said it's like rearranging the deck chairs on the Titanic. You can do all the goal setting and all the strategizing you want, but if you don't change your thinking, if you don't change your affirmations, you haven't really changed anything. You've just rearranged the deck chairs. And so going forward, we all have a choice. What do we want to become? What kind of volcano do we want to be? You know, there's one kind of volcano that's considered a dormant or dead volcano. In other words, it hasn't erupted for like 10,000 years or more. And there's no activity going on. There's no intent for it to ever explode. And its crust, its mantle, it's so thick. Those old attitudes and those old beliefs are so thick and so ingrained and so conditioned. And there's no pressure in the magma chamber that it's probably never going to explode. And you can put all the knowledge you want on the top. You can put all the skills you want in it. But you're never going to make it explode. It's never going to break through that crust, that mantle, those old attitudes and beliefs. Well, then there's another volcano, and it tends to let off steam and gas and smoke. And it looks like, wow, this thing's maybe going to erupt in the future. And it makes a lot of noise and maybe a lot of ash coming out of it. A lot of activity going on. It seems very busy. But yet it doesn't really ever explode. It doesn't really ever erupt. It doesn't really ever get results. And see, that's also characteristic of a lot of people. You know, it seems like, wow, they have a lot of knowledge and they talk a lot and they question a lot, but they never seem to get results. And there's always seems to be a reason, an excuse, a rationalization. You know, the pandemic, or the market's no good, or, the time's not right, or this happened to me, or LMI is not doing what it needs to do, or whatever reason it may be. There's always a reason why it's not getting the results it should get. But the real reason is internal. The real reason is because it hasn't grown to the next level. It hasn't developed its identity. It hasn't developed its self-image. It hasn't created the magma to create the pressure to break through all those old attitudes and habits. Sure looks busy, sure looks active, sure looks like it should produce results, says all the right things, does all the right things, but just doesn't get that explosion. Well, that's where that decision comes in. Get busy living or get busy dying? Get busy growing or get busy decaying? Because you see, if we will make those internal changes, if we will change our self-image, if we will change our identity, if we will change what our beliefs are about ourselves, if we will grow what our future self is going to be, we can't help but succeed. We can't help but explode. We can't help but get incredible results in our business, in our personal life. Your self-image is like this huge magnet. But how much power does it have? The greater you build your self-image, the greater you build your identity, the stronger this magnet becomes to attract the results that you want. And that's really where we need to start. Over the next week or so, you're going to hear a lot of information, a lot of great ideas, a lot of incredible techniques that you can use to grow your business, even in the current environment. In fact, especially because of the current environment. And I want you to use all that knowledge. I want you to use all of those techniques and all of those skills. But more importantly, I want you to get results from it. I want you to really see success. I mean, think about it. If you were to really use all of the knowledge and skills that we have, you would literally double or triple or quadruple your business. So the question is, what's holding us back? It's those internal limitations that we have. It's those internal confinement, small identities, small self-images that are holding us back. We've got to break through. We've got to break through those old attitudes and beliefs so we can use our skills, so we can use that knowledge to succeed. It's only by breaking through those old attitudes and beliefs that we're ever going to succeed. It's the only way we can do it. You can educate yourself as much as you want. You can train yourself as much as you want. But until you develop yourself, until you grow yourself, you will never achieve the success you want. And unfortunately, just like the butterfly, you only grow through the struggle. You only grow by doing it yourself. You only grow by breaking out of that cocoon yourself. You only grow by forcing the fluid out of your body and into your wings through that struggle. You see, you're in a struggle with your old attitudes and beliefs, with your old self. And it's only by displacing it with your new self, your new identity, your new self-image, that you're able to break out of that cocoon that you have. And this has never been more important, because in the past year, we've all been cocooning. We've all been in cocoons. But the time has come to really break forth, break through the limitations, break through what's holding us back, break through all those old attitudes and beliefs that have just become more and more and more calcified, more and more encrusted, deeper and deeper and deeper rock. It's going to take a lot to break through that. And that's the struggle. You don't want to give up your old self because it's comfortable. You know it. But that's the struggle we all must go through. That's the struggle we have to go through if we ever hope to achieve our potential in this business and in this life. So that's where we want to start this week. That's where we want to start today. Ralph Waldo Emerson said, "What lies behind us and what lies before us are tiny, tiny, tiny matters compared to what lies within us." All of our potential, all of our future success is within us. Yes, it's been a difficult year. Yes, we've had many, many challenges. Yes, there's been a lot of adversity. Many people have suffered physically, health-wise, financially, business-wise, personally, relationship-wise. But even those things are tiny matters compared to what lies within us, compared to the power and the potential that we have within us. It's time that we find that potential, find that power, break free of the shackles of the past, break free of the adversity from the past year, break free of the cocoon that's holding us in, and explode into a whole new future, a whole new level of success. The time has come. Well, and the time is perfect now for the next session. Jad is going to build on this and talk about the psychological principles behind our process, behind growing our potential, behind growing our self-image, behind changing the way we think. And so he's going to get more in depth into some of these psychological principles that underscore and that support our entire process. So again, I want to thank everyone for being here with us this week. This is going to be an incredible week. We're recording all these sessions. I encourage you to not only watch these sessions live, but then schedule meetings with your entire team and re-watch some of these sessions with your team and discuss these sessions with your team. Discuss how you can use these ideas and how you can grow together as a team to achieve incredible success. Thank you for being here with us. Jonah, I'm going to turn it back over to you, and I'll see you next Tuesday in the question and answer session. Thank you very much.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Randy. And I'll go ahead and stop your screen share there. There we go. Perfect. Well, thank you so much, Randy, for that session. I hope you all got some great ideas from that and are inspired by that. One thing that we're doing in this convention is we put together a convention workbook. And that workbook is so important. And the reason it's so important is because of what Randy just talked about. It's very important to take all these ideas from the session, but it's about your actions that you put into what you learned from each session. So if you look at your convention workbook, there's a session review page for every single session. And on one side, it's best ideas, and the other side is actions to take. And so what we want to see and what we encourage you to do is in between these sessions, a lot of the questions will have Q&A. We're doing a full Q&A session with Randy next Tuesday. That's why we're not going to do any questions right now. But take these next 10 minutes before Jad starts speaking in about 15 minutes and take some time to pull out your convention workbook and write down your best ideas, maybe that you've taken from your notes, and write down some actions you're going to take, whether it be new affirmations. I need to set new affirmations. Write down some new affirmations. Who do I need to speak to? What do I need to do for myself? Whatever it may be, write those down. Take time in between sessions to write those things down. Don't just go on to the next session. Say, that was some good ideas, and now let me go to the next one and get some more good ideas. Make sure you're taking intentional time to write down takeaways and actions you're going to take. Like Randy said, all of these are going to be uploaded to YouTube. So if you can't make them, that's okay. We hope we'll see all of you on all of the sessions, but if not, they will be uploaded. And if you need the link to the convention workbook, please let us know so we can make sure we get that to you. We send it out in an email, but if you haven't received it, just let me know or Sam or Ian, and we'll get that to you. So with that being said, we're going to go ahead and close this session. I'm going to leave this open so you can stay on for Jad's session, which will start in about 15 minutes, but I do ask that everyone stay muted and we'll get ready for Jad's session and everyone can kind of take some time to work in their convention workbooks. So thank you, everybody, and we'll be back in about 10, 15 minutes.